here we are, live on Facebook. Cathy's so excited. I text her at work and I say, Cathy, Mama G's having a rough time because some of our new people, our June experimentees, are feeling the struggle. The struggle is real.
It's real.
Struggle bus. And I said, well, if Cathy's available, I am going to hope that Cathy will kind of share, number one, why you even started about. We've known each other for a million years. We've been through all kinds of life experiences, wonderful and horrible and normal. And the fact is that one day you said, Gina, sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah, I was really sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah.
Weight's always been an issue for me. And, I've kind of gone up and down. My most success has been with Weight Watchers. But I was sick and tired of feeling terrible. It wasn't just how I looked. I had almost come to a thing of, well, this is just how I am. This is what, mid-50s looks like. But I couldn't sleep. I felt depressed. I was embarrassed of my body. And I thought, there's got to be something better than this. It may not be what I thought I felt like in my 30s, but I had to make a change. And I knew Gina was my answer. I really did know that. And so I'm a smart girl. I just take a while to get there.
Yeah. On his shoulder.
That's right. So in January when I began, I had already taken off a little weight in December. I don't know what got into me, but I kind of was feeling like, I can't let this go any further. I got to put on the brakes.
Well, because December's an easy one to just go.
Right. And instead, I kind of went, I'm done. This is ridiculous. I've got to get some control. So I got a little control, but it wasn't the healthy way to do it or anything like that. So we started in, and I was very enthusiastic. And I think my first 10 days, I would say I was 100% in, even though it was difficult. It was a big learning curve. I had to. What I did learn really quickly was I needed to pre-log my food. That became a game changer for me. And I decided for myself that I really needed to stick with just the basics. I didn't want to mess with recipes, sorry.
And we didn't really have like we now.
That's true. But I really wanted to stick almost just with, here's my protein, here's my fruit and vegetables, here's my complex carbo, and just cut out sugar. I had been a 40-year drinker of Diet Coke. Can you imagine she was still my friend and I drank Diet Coke? I was truly an addict. I started with a 32-ounce big gulp of Diet Coke every day.
Maybe you're the reason that Mama G's 2 no-nos, ever, never, ever is soda, sody pop, soda, whatever you call it in your neck of woods, and non-nutritious sweeteners.
Right.
We'll call it the Cathy Lyle Stollenwerk effect.
Yeah. I was the queen bee of both, I have to say.
Well, so you're well preserved.
Oh, yes, I am. And so just cutting that out was pretty major for me. And then adding the exercise in was another huge thing for me. But I was all in and doing great till about day 10. And then I started to feel very vulnerable. And I felt like a lot of pressure. And it was such a huge learning curve that I lost that momentum. And I actually called Gina one evening, almost in tears, because just to get it out was very difficult to kind of say, this is where I'm at, and I don't even know what to do, and I don't know why I'm falling apart, and I'm crying a lot, and I wasn't expecting all this emotion. I never realized. I knew that I was a feelings eater. Feelings when I was happy, feelings when I was sad. I responded to food. But what happened was, even though I was making these changes, I felt, even though I was becoming more in control, I felt more out of control because it wasn't in my comfort circle anymore.
The old uncomfortable.
Yeah, the old uncomfortable. But the emotional component was so much larger than I ever expected. And so you just said, okay, that was good feedback to have and to know. And then we kind of just went on from there. And just kind of putting it out there and it having just that I said it was kind of a good way to unburden myself and then just continue on. And, I said, I can't do this 5 hours a week of exercise. I just can't do it. That is not my reality.
I know. I never forget that. I'll never forget that. And that's when I said, A couple things is I think around that time I had suggested that you go on the page and write it, right?
Yeah.
So you can talk about that in a minute. But I remember you saying 5 hours a week. So we had talked about starting with 3 and then building up to it. And I had another client at that time who was pushing back on the time. And then I think Sam and I both started talking about the 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you can't give old ticker a little exercise for 1 hour, 5 days a week?
Yeah.
Come on.
Right. So then what kind of happened is in that process after that first 30 days, I started to feel so much better. Then my sleep was so much better, which of course helped my attitude and my outlook. And then I had, because of just the fact that I was actually able to sleep now, I had more energy to put forth in exercising. And then that training effect, even though it was very early in my exercise thing, I wouldn't call it training. I would just say it was moving my body an hour a day. I started to feel the benefits of that. So now I'm feeling the benefits of eating this clean, whole food. And I'm feeling the effects of actual sleep and then the exercise component. And next thing I knew is I was going to bed with my workout clothes on, because if I woke up at 4:45 in the morning, I'd look at the clock and think, maybe I'll just go to the gym now. And I was showing up at the gym at, 5:30.
And you weren't alone.
And I wasn't alone. And I actually liked it. One morning, I think on a Saturday, Christy, cousin Christy, was there. And I said, isn't this great? It's so quiet in here. She goes, yeah, kind of really.
That was her first.
It was
6
her
a.m.
first time.
Moment. We were shocked.
We were surprised.
Yeah. Where are you going? Oh, I got to get my workout in. I'm going up to Anaheim. I don't have time for it. And we were like, oh, it happened.
Yeah.
She succumbed.
Yeah. Yeah. And then even went to a wedding this summer and, or this spring, I should say. And, I just got up and went and there was only one other person in the hotel gym, but I did it just because then I knew I had done it. I'd gotten it done for the day. So no matter what the rest of our day was going to be, which wasn't going to be the same controlled eating stuff, I was going to do my best with what I had planned for myself and what I knew was coming. But I just knew I had done the work, but I felt better about myself for doing it. I felt empowered by doing that. It no longer became this, oh, good God, I could never do 5 hours of exercise a week. It became, no, this is part of what makes me feel better and in control, rather than when I began those first 30 days feeling out of control. So there's a big transition that takes place, and it's very real when you're struggling. You just have to push through. Let that weight of it just come out of your mouth. I don't care, or if you're crying in the shower, whatever it takes, just to kind of work through the frustration and that. Just own it. It's okay. We don't have to be perfect at this from the very beginning. It's a big learning curve, even for your own self, just with what you learn about yourself in the process. I realize that I tend to give up on myself a little too early, that I need to be a little more patient with myself. It's okay if I screw up. There's always the next meal, the next snack, whatever. It doesn't mean that now I got to wait till Monday, or that now I've got this, ticket that just says, yeah, just throw it all away. And I didn't really want to do that. I didn't have that same feeling as before, because I was feeling the good effects hard, but not enough to counter balance the good I was starting to get. And then it starts to perpetuate on itself that it's all a good thing. So I can tell you can go from really awful to crying on the phone to Gina to feeling really good about it and feeling in control and feeling a lot better.
Yeah, well, we've had the benefit because you work for my husband, so we get to visit on Monday mornings, and it was good for you to have the ability to ask questions and talk about your feelings and all of that, the emotional side of making the change. But it was really good for me too to have somebody who was willing to share those details, because it helped me to learn how to be a better listener, teacher, all of those things that I have to be. So it's been great this day, but now it's so much more positive,
Oh yeah.
I mean, now it's like, well, let me tell you what happened, or I went to this, or I was able to do that, or my kids said this, and all of those things. So before you started, and if you're with us out there, please say hello. My sister Chris is on.
Hi.
What was your food like prior to? Like, what was your thing? Like, my husband's the big flour. Like, if I'm not putting food in front of him, he's going to go out to lunch. No idea where. And if he's home and he has to get his own food and he's not cooking dinner like for us, it's always his big flour tortilla, white shit, with whatever meat and cheese that he finds and hot sauce. Like that's going to always be that's his comfort. Yeah. That's his go-to. Yeah.
Well,
did you eat breakfast?
Yeah, I ate breakfast. I avoided all fats at all costs. So I've always been even though I enjoyed them, that was my way of like controlling things. So it was always no mayo, never had cheese, didn't have avocado,
so that's
didn't do any oils.
Good,
that was my good food.
Diet.
That was my regular of that part I thought was in control, but I wasn't eating enough fats. And so, and that showed in my blood tests and such. And so I wasn't even eating the good fats, but I was terrible about sugar. And I mean, I could kill a sleeve of graham crackers without.
And would you have sugar daily?
Well, I had sweetener, so I would, if I didn't have my Diet Coke, I was drinking iced tea with a bunch of, like Sweet and Low.
Okay, so the old non-nutritives.
So the non-nutritives were in there.
Took care of your sweet, the old sweet tooth. I
right,
guess.
But then I would have snacks.
Lisa Photo's on with us.
Hi, Lisa. And so I did a lot of like crackers and, so it was a graham cracker. So I'm thinking, oh, I'm not buying cookies. And then I would kill off a whole sleeve of graham crackers, so it was a game I was playing and not being honest with my own self.
And really not knowing how to do this.
No. And also the other thing is I had done very little dairy as well. And so I was eating, protein. I was eating too much protein. It was lean protein. I was eating vegetables. I was eating fruits. I was eating those components, but the fats were off. The sugars were definitely off. And all that processed junk was part of my regular.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I could start a day with a bagel and a Diet Coke and be a happy girl, but I mean, so that was my regular thing.
So month one was hard. We know about that. Lots of emotions. A lot of people don't realize that there's a ton of emotion wrapped around your food. People have moments when they're kids, like where you can remember good things, bad things, where they felt bad for you, so they give you they feed you, or you're in trouble, so you have to eat the bad stuff, eat the string beans or whatever. And so there's all that emotional baggage that we don't even really realize that's connected to us. And some of us are emotional eaters, and some of us, when we have things going on, we don't want anything to do with food. It's just very interesting how our emotions have a play in there. But, so now eventually you figure out that the exercise is not a bad thing.
Right.
And then the food, you probably start making some of the recipes, especially once the website kind of came up and we started to do more building. And then you started to experience people responding to you being different, looking different, acting different. What was that?
I think so. I didn't think I thought that I looked different, but I think what happened was when people saw me, when I felt like I could wear clothes that were closer to my body and touched my body, that before I was wearing clothes that were really probably too big for even my bigger body then. So when you go from your clothes really sticking out away from your body because you're trying to hide everything, to clothes, things that are just skimming your body, you still don't want them to touch, but they're closer. It looks like even more than you lost. And I do think that the exercise component does start changing the shape of your body. And so you do look different. And I feel like my posture's always been poor. But I feel like I stand straighter, and then I think the way you're holding your body makes you look leaner. And so I had a hard time with the positive responses I was getting from people, because I would feel like they were way too excited about this whole life. Like, oh my gosh, I'm thinking, okay, let's get a handle on this. I still have a long way to go. So let's, we don't need a parade, Thank you. And so I talked to Gina about that because I felt very self-conscious and almost like then I wanted to go back to my bigger clothes. Like I have a bigger top on today, and sometimes I just still do that. I don't want all my body to show because I've never been comfortable showing all my body. So even though it's positive, you still have to deal with all that talk that's going on in your head. So that's when we talked about, instead of saying, because people say, oh, how much have you lost?
Yeah.
We talked about what do you gain, and where I'm comfortable in responding to people is I feel so much better. And that is the truth of the matter.
Right.
I feel so much better.
Right.
And so I'm able to use that as the focus. It takes the focus off of my physical change.
Right. Right.
And I can talk about really what it's really all about for me. I mean, and I'm still on the journey and still want to lose much more, but, and so I have that physical ideal in my head or goal, but I already feel like I've achieved the component of feeling better. And then my blood tests have shown great change.
Right.
And so I've grasped what I really want to hold on to for the long haul, and the rest is coming. It's just slow, but I'm okay with that because the important part has already happened.
Right. Right.
So
and the shift, understanding that we have to take care of our body, right? The old self-care.
Yeah.
When we talk about the exercise component,
Yeah.
which now is just part of who you are.
Yeah.
Do you think about your week coming up and think, okay, this week I'm taking this day off and that day off, and you think maybe you have an event, and do you ahead of time plan out, like
generally
plan an appointment kind of thing?
Yes. And I never used to do that. It was always like the last thing on the list. And so I have found that sometimes if I just get myself out of bed and just go, then I kind of feel like, well, it's just done now. And I don't have to think about it. Otherwise, It's almost like a pressure because I know I've got to get myself there. And I've told Gina sometimes I'm only in that gym for 20 minutes because it was all I had, but I thought better to do 20 really concentrated moments than not, because I think, oh, I can't do 45 or, oh, I can't do that hour.
So don't do it at all.
So that's been a huge shift as well, is on those days where it just simply is not going to happen for whatever reason, I make sure that, I get in what I can, even if it's limited, and then do maybe more floor work of all the stuff that, that Sam has been showing us, and then do that, or I'm really
and you can do that at home.
Right. And then I'm doing many more push-ups, or I'm going up and down my stairs, or I'm doing a bunch of squats, or I'm trying to get in the work that way instead, so.
Yeah, so it's a huge component. Catherine's with us too. Anybody else who's with us, please say hey. I should say which Catherine. That's Catherine Schmidt.
Okay.
From I don't want to say Maine. I'm going to say, oh my gosh, Catherine, tell us where you're from. I've lost my words. M-E-M-A. What's those other M's over
Massachusetts.
there? Massachusetts.
There we go.
Woo. Okay, problems there. But I have another client who, with his work schedule, if I can't get there for the hour, I'm just not going to go. So then a month later, he just hasn't gone. Mm-hmm. So really, honestly, I'll say it again. You got a dog? Because if you're not walking your dog, it's pretty unacceptable. You should give that dog up to somebody who's going to love that dog for you. Well, old Ticker here, the old doggy heart, needs to get out, to get a little exercise, no matter what it looks like. Yeah. And I struggle. I'm a regular exerciser, right? Yeah. And there are days, especially when I don't have somebody that I know that's counting on me, or like tomorrow morning, I got to run 10 miles.
Oh my gosh.
I'm doing it by myself. Not happy about it. But I know I'm going to listen to some of my podcasts that I love from my nutrition that I listen to. And I don't usually run by myself anymore. So it's, I'm kind of like, well, just going to have your time. You've done a lot of running by yourself. And really, like you said, as soon as I wake up, especially if I'm, struggling with, got things on my mind and I can't sleep anymore, get up, get going, get it over with. I'm going to be out there for 2 hours, you just gotta get on the old bandwagon.
Yeah.
So, you got to make your exercise a priority because, while the fitness side, the food side of it's great, it's going to change so much in terms of your health and make you feel better and all of those components. the fitness side is going to do the same thing, but those are certain things. That fitness component is going to change your health as well, right? Yeah. So you really can't deny one over the other.
Right.
So that's really important.
Yeah.
And then, we talk about the whole role modeling thing. Mm-hmm. So, you have 3 adult children. Mm-hmm. How have they responded to, what they've seen? Because they see their mom every, week or a couple weeks. Or...
Right. They've all been extremely positive, and very encouraging. But I think I have surprised them because they were all athletes in high school, and one went on to run in a Division one college, and they've always kind of just seen what moms look like. And then one came to visit, and it was like, oh my gosh, Mom, and I was saying, I'm doing better. I tell them my time, because that was a big deal because I'm not a runner and wasn't a runner. And I say, oh, this was done. They're like, oh, that's awesome. And they've always been really, but I think I kind of surprised them. And so,
because you've stuck with
because I've stuck with it. Yeah. And, good job, Mom, and just all those really neat things that make you feel proud of yourself, and you're glad that they notice, and that they're not going to do the parade, but you can tell it's genuine, that they're really happy for you, and good for you. I'm glad you're doing this for yourself. So those positive affirmations from family is always.
Yeah. And guess what? Now you have new things to talk about, with them.
So this is the wild part. So for Mother's Day, I got a card from my son, the Division I runner son, and he wrote in there about how he was so proud of me that I've taken charge of my health, and that is an inspiration to him, because he's now in the grind of, the 60-hour week and
the old
all of that.
Adulting.
The adulting. And now he's realizing how hard it is to get it done. Now he can still just go for a run and just take off and run.
Right.
But it made him realize that I'm making it a priority. And I thought, wow, even though I wasn't feeling like I was doing any modeling, and that's not every conversation we have that we're talking about it,
right,
but that he saw the pieces. And then my son, who's most local, who sees me on the regular, he just wrote to me the other day and said, how did you take off all that weight? What are you doing? Now he knows that, he watches how I eat and stuff. He kind of wanted to, what's the overall deal?
What's the game plan?
Yeah, because, he thought maybe the keto thing was a good way to go.
Well,
like, no,
that's
no.
when you say, guess what? Go to www.mamagsLifestyle.com. So Catherine said, oh, she's from Boston. See, I get so lost with the New Englanders over there. And she's actually from Dublin, Ireland originally.
Oh, awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
We got our Irish connection.
I'm going there in July.
Oh, and Michelle Suggs is going there. I don't know if you watched her interview last week. And so she was maybe going to look up our new gal, Sonia. So,
okay.
So, there's the role modeling. And what about the old hubster?
Well, the hubster is semi on board. He's on board for me, doing this for me.
Good job, Cathy.
Yeah.
Look how great you look.
Yeah, he's very proud of me, and he's very been supportive of me. I'm fortunate to not have a spouse who's trying to undermine that.
No sabotage?
No sabotaging. That's all good. But he hasn't, and he needs to be all in with the program himself.
Right.
So he's on the program at breakfast because I make the breakfast. And he's basically on the program at dinner because I make dinner. And so it's just the in-between part, that he needs to be working on. Although we do have discussion about it. Small changes are being made. We're getting there.
Yeah.
But I know that what I've learned is that you really have to be ready and commit. And it's the only way you're going to have true success and longevity in it all.
Right.
Your head has to be in the right place. And his head's not there, but we're inching our way.
Right. So. And we talk about things like, again, modeling. You're going to the gym. You go to Starbucks together, and you're like, while you're still reading, I'm going to walk home. Yeah. Or, when you're going to walk the dog in the evening, hey, let's go together. Yeah. Right. So there's opportunities to be together. It's like with kids when you sneak in the veggies, you're sneaking in the exercise.
Yeah. It's in small ways, but
right. So, it's just continuing to role model. And because ultimately we'll say it again, like when you look at your kids or when you look at your spouse, the only thing we want for the people we love in our lives is for them to lead long, healthy, independent lives.
Yeah.
And unless we are modeling that behavior, how can we expect anything else from them? So I don't care if your kid's 2, in the womb, 50, whatever the age of your kid is, you have the opportunity to role model for them.
Yeah.
Because the last thing you want to be is a burden to anybody in
Absolutely.
life. And, there's things we can't control, but we actually can control a lot of the lifestyle factors like heart disease and diabetes and strokes and some of the colorectal cancers and things that are 100% attributed to how we eat and how we move our bodies.
Mm-hmm.
So there's really no excuse. So I know I had mentioned to you that I was wanting you to do this tonight because I was feeling struggling with some of our new clients. And if you're with us, because I see more of you on there, please say hey. I think it's really important for the new people to be patient.
Yeah.
Remember why they started, mm-hmm. right?
Right.
Remember, so, somebody's going on a diet and, maybe I'm going to go on a 30-day diet or a 60-day diet or it's, 12 weeks long or whatever. It's like in your head, you're like, there's an end point and then I'm going to go back to my old ways. The difference is the goal is for you never to want to go back, that right. You are satisfied with your food. So what's your food feelings? I mean, we know the food is delicious. We know it's nutritious. Do you feel it's satisfying? Are you wanting? Do you feel like you have more self-control? What does all that look like for you?
I do. I actually crave healthy food a lot more. It's funny that your palate changes, and I thought I would never get past sugar. I recently had the Mama's Wonderful Oats, and
the old Power Oats.
The Power Oats. And I had this cup. I like to eat things in cups. I don't know why, but I had this thing where I can just really get into it and enjoy it. I don't know. Somehow to me, that's more unctuous of a thing. So I had my little Power Oats down there. And all of a sudden I thought to myself, this tastes like an oatmeal cookie. And I was thinking, well, wait a minute. There's no sugar in that. Have I thought like that before? Never. So it's like you have these aha moments where you realize your palate really is changing. And then I had some oral surgery, so there were a lot of things that I couldn't eat. And boy, how I missed them. I really missed them. I've eaten a lot of sweet potatoes
you don't get the crunch right now.
I don't get the crunch. And I actually want that. I crave that now. And that was a big surprise. So you really do make a change. I still from time to time struggle with sugar. I don't know necessarily why, because my food is very satisfying. But I think when you have 40 years of having this heightened palate because you drink Diet Coke every day and had this artificial sweetener,
absolutely,
that it just takes a while for the mind and body to catch up. And it's come a long way, but it's not completely gone. But I think it really will with time. And the cravings are much less than they used to be. Now it's maybe, a couple times a month, where it was daily before.
Yeah.
I mean, and I couldn't get enough.
Yeah.
So that's a big change when you think of
it's
overall.
Like you go, well, I want to have the cookie, and then the one cookie's not enough, and then you end up eating, like you said, the whole
right.
sleeve of the Girl Scout, Thin Mints or whatever that
whatever
looks like. And then you feel like shit.
Oh.
And then you have the guilt, you have and then guess what's going to happen.
Right. So those few times where I have felt like I went down that mindless eating path, what I did think is, well, that was just monumentally stupid. I don't feel good. It wasn't satisfying. But I did think, but I still need to eat all my nutrients today.
Right. And that's what I think, we have to. I had one client text me today and say, so if I'm hungry tonight, what can I eat? I was like, well, why do we have any ifs? What is the if factor? Mm-hmm. How about we make sure we get all of our food in, and then, so it's not like, so we talk about, we have this cheat sheet now, which you didn't have when you started, but, the cheat sheet is great because it talks about exactly what breakfast, lunch, and dinner need to be, right? Mm-hmm. 350 to 400 calories. People really wanted that. Like, I really fought people saying, can you just tell me what to eat? Can you give me a food plan? And so I think we kind of made the best of both worlds, kind of gave some parameters. So now you can go, okay, got to get my 350 to 400 calories. Not sure what that's going to look like. I know that I got to get around 150 to 200 calories worth of these starchy grainy carb things. I know lunch and dinner time. I always say lunch and dinner because breakfast aren't always savory. If they're savory, a lot of people can easily throw veggies in there. But if they're not savory, not going to have a carrot with your oatmeal. So, trying to get 50 calories worth of non-starchy veggies. Like, these are concrete, very specific, check it off the list, easy to do, and then hit your macros, right? The carbs and the fats and the proteins. And so it's real specific. And so you can say something like, okay, I have chicken thighs defrosting. I'm going to, like I did last night, I'm going to just heat my cast iron skillet up. I know that I can use a certain amount of olive oil for that. And I probably actually, with the chicken thighs, because they have enough fat that I don't even think you need to use any oil in there. But I use this seasoning from Trader Joe's and salt and pepper. And honestly, chicken thighs, Sam's always like, oh yeah, I'm a thigh gal now. She was a breast gal, and now she knows, Mom, she was right with thigh. So I knew that was my starting point. It's like what you're decorating so beautifully. Like, you might have had that picture as your jumping off point. And so you pulled the colors from there. It's the same thing with your meal. What's my jumping off point? Well, it's the chicken tonight. And then, okay, so what's that starchy grainy carb going to be? Well, last night I was crazy busy. So I'm like, well, I've got brown rice in the freezer from Trader Joe's, literally throw it in the microwave for 4 minutes, 2 servings, 2 cups, mark it, I can split it. We're done. And then you go, okay, what's that veggie? So open up the refrigerator. Oh, I got string beans I've got to do something with, right? So I nuked them when everything else was cooking. Had my little bit of olive oil, which I still needed that extra fat, put it in the nonstick skillet, threw the string beans in with a little garlic, salt and pepper, little red pepper flakes, and done. So it doesn't have to be brain surgery.
No. It can be very simple. My go-to, like I said, was the sweet potatoes. One, because it's easier presently for my mouth with having the oral surgery, but I just roast them on the weekend. And even when I buy them in the grocery store, I kind of eyeball the size.
The size now, right?
So instead of getting like this huge one, thinking, oh, my husband and I are going to split it, I'm just buying the smaller ones and weighing it out. Just go ahead, and then I just then put them like in a large Ziploc bag, like the gallon ones, and I can just pull it out and literally nuke it. And then at the last minute, like I had chicken thighs last night, then I can just throw it onto the cookie sheet and stick it in the oven just to kind of firm everything up. And it's delicious. And so that's my go-to that's very satisfying because that's that sweet component for me,
It's that salt.
It's that mouthfeel.
Sweet, and then I put a little red pepper flake in there, so it's a little spicy.
See, and I do the cinnamon on the top because I almost feel like I'm having pie.
Hear the Virgo. Oh, so good.
But when you find those things that work for you, having them on hand, I think, is really key.
So, what are your couple go-to breakfasts?
My breakfasts are either your oats, or I do the Dave's Killer Bread with a little bit of the avocado, measured it out, and the egg, tomato, and then I love steamed milk now. That tastes really sweet to me too. That was another, and I take I think it was Lisa Photo that puts it in the
thingy and then
the press, the coffee press, and I do that thing that open down, and I get all this froth, and I actually eat with a spoon again. My husband crashed it because at night got my big cup, just eat with the spoon. He goes, you and the froth, what's with that?
Yeah, so it's a complete shift.
And so then I have that as well, and that's my really just my 2 breakfasts that I really go to because I really enjoy them. Or if I am doing one of those 5 a.m. kind of, I'm going to the gym, then I'll just do a small, just like even like a quarter of a piece of toast and put a little bit of peanut butter and the jam on there and do that. And so
we
kind
get
of
something.
A P&J sandwich might be and milk might be my breakfast because of going to the gym before and then finishing all the rest of the parts of it. And it's easy and it's fast. And if I'm just whipping out the door, it's a great go-to for me. But as far as to prepare it, or those really just the 2. And I'm really happy. And after all these months, I'm not feeling like, oh God, I'm eating that again. It tastes so good. I really like it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really important to, number one, be open-minded. I've told a few clients of recent, you're not a toddler. How about we try eating that again? And one of my clients was like, oh, I had a really bad experience with avocado, back 20 years ago, and I got really sick, and I'm not sure why, and well, I said, well, who knows what the circumstances were? If it was guacamole sitting out, you live, on this coast, and whatever. And I said, look, I'm going to just tell you this: avocado is a game changer.
I mean, and I think because it's such a healthy fat that I really enjoy having the good fat now, and then having an egg. I'm just frying it in a Teflon pan, so there's nothing to it, but that has
tomatoes, you put
tomato.
Oh,
it's just so delicious.
honestly. So, so somebody had, I think Felicia had built it, and she used three pieces of the Dave's Killer, and it all fit in her macros, it's between those calories. But she's like, oh, it's so much bread. And I'm like, take out one. Add some more veggies in there. She loves her little egg with with all the veggies in there, and get a little more avocado on each piece of bread, and it just changes up the look there. So you have to be willing to try new things. Every client of mine who drank coffee when they started had it with cream, creamer, or half and half.
Yeah. And
I said no longer, and they're like, oh, I'm never going to be able to live without it. Everybody loves either their 1% milk or their soy milk, frothed or not. It's just that nice warm bowl of caffeine, not caffeine, calcium.
Yeah.
I always go get my calcium in.
Yeah.
So I think that's important. What do your snacks look like? What are your two snacks look like?
My snacks generally are the yogurt. I use the 2%, and then the boiled berries. Or I'll smash a banana and then do the yogurt, and then maybe add like some nutmeg and cinnamon. I like that. I've done like part kefir, part yogurt, and then fruit to make it kind of a milkshakey sort of a thing.
So you haven't tried the old Mama G banana milkshake?
I have once, but it's almost like too much work. I know it sounds dumb.
You don't care.
But no, I'm happy with what I have, and so I stick with what I'm really enjoying, and that I like it, and that I know it's fitting.
So you have the yogurt thingy with the fruit somewhere in your afternoon, and then at night you have your other snack, which is your frothy.
My frothy milk. Yeah.
So it makes you happy there. And then at this point, you feel really comfortable with your food choices so that you're not really logging things, right?
Right.
And you can choose to log something if you have something new, right? And you're not really sure what that looks like.
If it's not part of the regular repertoire, then I'm logging.
Right. Which now my MyFitnessNal back and forward, so it's no big deal. Initially, it's like, how do I add this in, and how do I save it, and it's hard, and you don't use something. It's like I had to use iMovie a couple of weeks ago. I was like, oh my gosh, I used to do this all the time. I had no clue where to start, right? So, I asked my assistant, I'm like, okay. She's like, just drop it in and this and that. I was like, a little hand holding.
Yeah. And that premium was a really big changer for me too. Because at first I thought, I'm just going to do this free thing.
That's right. You didn't do it,
and I not initially.
And then you tried to build it on another meal, right?
And you had to come back.
It
was a nightmare.
Yeah.
So that was really a game changer for me as well. And I learned a lot in that process. I learned about the vegetables that had so much protein in them that I didn't know about.
Right. So now you can actually touch an item, a food choice, and it'll tell you, like mushrooms. Who knew that mushrooms were mostly protein? Who would think that, right? You think it's carbohydrate.
Right.
MyFitnessPal is really great. Lots of great tools on there. Opens your eyes to what food looks like. What about your heart rate monitor? How was that? When did you get the heart rate monitor? Because now it's part of the program. You have to have it. But when we started in January,
I don't think I got mine till
maybe till February or so.
Maybe mid-February, maybe even the end. And you let me borrow one that, I don't know, Christy had been using, cousin Christy or something. Yeah. And because I was just putting my hands on the machine and checking what it was. And so unless I was at the gym, I really had no idea other than just trying to monitor. But what I found is that that subjective objective is a lot different when all of a sudden you put that monitor on and you see where you're at. And so I think that's been a good, again, that connection of the mind body, of your perceived effort, and then what it really is it's a good way to make you say, I gotta push a little harder, or I may have to catch my breath for a minute, but then I'm going to push back again and get myself up in that zone that I need to be in. So I think it's
like
a
workout buddy, right?
It is. It's really
that you look at it and go,
feedback is pretty big.
Or, man, look at what I was capable of today.
Yes, absolutely. Right? Yeah. So I think it's a really good feedback tool, and it's helped me a lot.
Yeah. And initially you were like doing body pump or something like that, right?
That's where I started, because I just thought, well, that'll be an overall body exercise and to get my body moving and stuff like that. But what we learned pretty quickly is, even though I was trying so hard not to hurt myself, and I was really protecting my back and making sure I was holding my abs, protect my back. I took out my arm,
Yeah.
my forearm of all places.
So Body Pump is a class. They have them all over the place, but at 24-hour fitness, they have them. And you weights, right? Nobody really tells you what weights to have.
No.
You just gather these weights, you're kind of looking around, you use a step and some other things. And then it's pretty fast moving, right? Pushing and pulling and doing all these things. Right. And the thing is, you're in this classroom situation and nobody's telling you about your form and to slow down and to think about what muscle group you're incorporating and where's your posture and is your core tight and all those things. And ultimately somebody's going to go, and it was your forearm, which threw you into physical therapy, which threw you back onto the cardio machines, which ultimately probably wasn't the worst thing ever to happen.
No, it was actually a really positive. And what I did learn from that is that my forearm went out, and they said, yeah, right here at my elbow. And then they went up and they went over to my shoulder and to my back, and I almost jumped off the table at the time. Well, it was part of that. Those back muscles weren't being used at all, hence the bad posture and everything else. Right. And then Sam helped me really focus on, when you're trying to squeeze those muscles.
The old scapula.
Yeah, was much more difficult when you just haven't used it.
Yeah. Just
to get that awareness of it being there and then holding it into place. So even when I was on the treadmill or other things, thinking about using those muscles and having that awareness. So it was a really good, learning tool, even though it was because of an injury.
Right.
It led me to more information, more knowledge.
Yeah.
And now what Sam is teaching us, you think, it's not all that important, but it really, really is as you're moving forward. And I just think of, as we age, and especially women, that we need to have that upper body strength. And I think about, what if you were to fall, or what if you really needed to, have that strength for something that just whatever could happen in life.
Right.
You want to be, strong enough to handle those things.
Right. So, after 30, we start losing muscle mass. Mm-hmm. We continually lose bone mass. And so the only way to counter that is, number one, with nutrition, right?
Yeah.
Number two, with weight-bearing exercise, which we can understand what that is. But the strength training component is really important because the muscles that hold the joints together, right, are
absolutely.
critical, right? So, as we age too, we do just proprioception, we just lose that ability. We lose some of our balance. It's just part of the aging process. You just have to understand it. Doesn't mean you can't do something about it.
Right.
So, we do things like practicing, different things with single legs and doing things off balance and surfaces as well. But the strength component's critical. So we always have to think about, we have to be prepared for famine, right? So what is famine? Famine is a disaster. It could be a disease. It could be an accident. What happens, So, we look at our clients who are malnourished and who are underweight, terrible scenario for somebody to be in that situation. So we want to be strong and healthy and sitting at an appropriate body weight so that, God forbid, when famine, when tragedy, when life gets in the way, you've got, some good reserves there, and hopefully a good head around your shoulder to be able to advocate for yourself as well in terms of what you're putting in your mouth and moving your body and all of that. So, I think it's just, really awesome. I think I've appreciated sharing the journey with you. You've had a lot of other really positives. I know you have asthma and that you haven't had to be on the steroids and things that normally happen to you.
Yeah.
Who knew that eating real healthy food and sleeping better, we don't know what it is. We don't know what the cause and effect is. All we know is that things are better.
Yeah.
We know that you also had a lot of relief with your IBS. I know right now that you're having an issue, but I think what people have to understand, like, I don't normally have it. I mean, I think just life presents issues and the gut-brain axis, you can't deny that what's going on in your head affects the rest of your body. And, I've had times where I've suffered with gastritis and different things, or I've couldn't understand why I felt like my bowels were screwed up, or I had excess gas, or different things are going on. You just have to be more in tune. Hopefully now you are more in tune with your body. You can say something like, maybe this particular food or this combination of stuff, instead of somebody saying, I'm at lactose intolerant, or I don't think I can eat gluten. It's like, you can't put the blame game on one situation. You really have to be able to look at a larger circumstance and then, like you did, go to the doctor,
right?
So that you could address the scenario. And now we're going to, look at what's going on there.
Well, I think what's happened over this 5 months is it wasn't just, mindless eating and now we have mindful eating. You're mindful about everything. You're mindful about your exercise. You're mindful about your health. You're mindful about your posture. You're mindful about your example. You're mindful that if I have a flare-up like I recently have, that I know is that I've done everything right. It's nothing that I've done. It's not because I've been negligent of myself. I am doing good self-care.
Right.
Life happens. And so this is part of the life journey, and that this is for life, and you're going to have bumps along the road. Right. Not just because you go on this program, everything's going to be just smooth sailing. You got to just go with the bump, and you go over the little bump, and then you keep going again. Right. That's just how it is.
And I think that's the beauty of the group, is that we start to bond with these people from coast to coast, now from continent to continent. And we had one of the gals whose husband had a severe stroke, young people, but he's doing beautifully now. Yeah. She's back in the group with us. She's posting and making the food. And
it's important to be real. It's really important
the vulnerability piece is important. Mm-hmm. And so we always talk about, sharing those pieces and the struggles, but also share the benefits. I mean, Diana just talked about, she kind of put it in the middle of one of her posts, but she did her mile time just for the heck of it. Nobody asked her to. She went from 28 minutes to 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
25%.
And I know Catherine's on the call now, but she had some significant minute changes in her time. It's like the training effect is so real.
Yeah.
Right. And in terms of capability, look at Lisa Foda, who now every Sunday, her and her husband go for hours-long bike rides together. Yeah. And now her goal is to be skiing with her family and grandkids this next winter. And Sam has told her 100% book events, book your tickets, book your flights, get going, because you will be skiing with them.
Yeah.
So the life possibilities are endless if you can understand that we have this capability of really taking care of ourselves. And it's not magic. If there's no pills or no potions, maybe a little fairy dust. But the fact is that all we're doing is using real science and evidence in terms of treating our body respectfully, eating mostly plant-based foods. Everything should be nutritious and delicious. There should be not a lot of pain involved. A little uncomfortable stuff with the exercise and,
but you feel better for
planning and different things like that.
Yeah. I have to say, I've never regretted pushing myself, like to go out and exercise when I'm done. I really feel really good about myself and think, I am so glad I did that. I'm so glad I got it.
You never leave a workout going, stupidest thing I ever did.
No,
never. Right? Never. On the other hand, you eat something that, now, like, honestly, I can eat whatever I want because I exercise so much. But honestly, if I eat something that I'm not used to eating, most of the time, like at Mary's shower, they had bought some cookies. They did, the best cookies ever. So I said, okay, give me a piece. I literally took a bite of it. I went, not even worth it. But I'm going to have it. It's going to be a homemade cookie made by Mary, or an ice cream cone with milk almond fudge ice cream. It's going to be calculated.
Yeah.
And I'm going to enjoy every piece of it. But it's not just going to be because it's sitting at the table, right? Like when we go to Bunko, and at every table there's jelly beans and crackers and chips, and at the end of the night, it's all gone, even though we just ate dinner. Yeah. And then they bring out the dessert.
Right.
It's just something that they've been doing for 20-something years.
Right.
Doesn't really need to happen.
Right.
So, it's about making a shift and understanding that, guess what? It's not the last time that cake's coming out. It's not the last vacation you're going to take. And
then what happens is, because you're doing that, your palate does change, and you don't feel the same, and you don't feel deprived. You feel good and in control and stronger. And like you're saying, I think whatever it is, those cookies or whatever, well, they'll be there tomorrow and the next day and the next day.
Yeah.
So, but right now I want to still really keep my head down and keep going. And then when I want it, I will allow that for myself, but be mindful. I will, calculate the treat and then keep on and go back to program. And that's how I plan to do it from this point forward.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, folks. Well, time for us to cook some dinner for our husbands. So, Cathy, do you have a little saying that, Mama G's lifestyle says? How Sam and I, say our little things at the end?
I hadn't thought about that.
Okay,
Sorry.
Well, Mama G always says, it's not about what you lose, it's about what you gain.
That's right.
And better for the rest.
Better for the rest.
Samantha B. All right, guys, take care.
Bye.